Barbie was making young women feel insecure about themselves because, you know, for most women, the Barbie doll body is unrealistic for them. So Barbie decided to change their Barbie dolls to make them look more like natural bodied women. And I'm like, what? That's so stupid. That is so stupid. I mean, what? Why? It's just a freaking doll. If women are insecure about how a baby doll looks, there's something wrong with the women. Just saying. A freaking doll makes them insecure. That's just... I love it. Oh, she is a dancer. And she's a level 2. What is he? He is a archer level 3. I think I'm gonna kill them both. That's not the first time that has happened. I go to attack a wall, or attack close to a wall, and I go to knock them on, and they knock me on. Yeah, how you like me now? Yep, you just slid right off the mountain. Ah, but I got his inventory from his feet. That's funny. That is so funny. And I got his meat from his feet. He's got some meaty ass feet. Oh my god, that was funny. Got the meat from his feet. Did I knock her over the side too? I think I did. She fall over the side. I don't see her, and I don't see him either. Unless he disintegrated when I chopped up his feet. Alright. See if we can't find... Where'd that guy go that was walking? There he is.
I can taste your stench, human.
Yeah. Ooh, he exploded. I love it when they explode. Alright, we gotta get our health up. Oh, I'm still bleeding. I'll tell you what, I'm thinking we should go back to the desert and get some more of this meat, because you gotta kill elephants to get it, but that meat is like really, it gets your hit points up fast. Ooh, got him. Pigs. Got hyenas over there. That's what a friend of ours on the show calls hyenas. Calls them hyenas. I'm like, those are hyenas. That's what I said. No, you said hyena. Okay, what are you? Better than what we've got at home. She's a level 2. We only have a level 1, but I really don't want to waste my time unless I kind of want to aim for level 4s. I mean, I got this level 3. Oh, hey,
there's a strange scent on the wind.
Did you die? You did. Thank you. I'm encumbered. Maybe it's because I got body parts on me. That would do it. Let's see what we've got. Our crawl looks like it's done. Shoot. It's funny how bark seems to cook these faster. Okay, let's put here. Ancient bow. Ooh, that's sweet. Do we have any like upgraded armor? I'd like to give her some upgraded armor. Is that the combination of hatchet and pick for cutting stone and harvesting wood? Oh, wow. That is awesome. It has the same damage. It says health damage. Oh yeah, it does the same health damage as a steel axe. I likes it. I like it a lot. We're gonna have to keep that and get rid of both of these. Just use that. shoot. I knew not to put it in there. Dang it. Should be good. 64%. Yeah, I'm good. Okay, let's see if this is done up here. Head back home, and we'll probably try to get some more aloe on the way. Are they all following? Durability left on the scythe, but we still need to get a bunch of aloe. Let's try to get as much as we can. You know, with all these thralls and everything, how come they don't have the thralls gather resources for you? I mean, if you got them doing general labor and everything inside your base, how come they don't have them, like, gather thralls, you know? So they go out and they gather wood and stone and all that. They need something like that in this game. Why else have slaves if you're the one doing all the grind work, you know? Hey, honey. Yeah, not my place is my wife. I hate her username. It sounds like her username makes it sound like I'm a dick. Not my place. Hate it. Hate it. Home soon. Awesome. Now, when you get home, I'll probably take a break and get something to eat. I got the munchies. I don't know why I got the munchies, because, man, that was a big old sub at Subway today. But it was so damn delicious. I scarfed it down. Yeah, I mean, we don't have air conditioning in our house. And so, you know, eating hot stuff, you really don't want to eat when it's hot in your house. So, getting a nice cold, you know, Subway club today, oh, it's so delicious. Nice and cold, and made just the way I like it. Man, somebody's having a good old time with fireworks outside today. Wow, they're going nuts. Nutsoid! I do have 1,000 of those. Holy crap. I'm gonna make plenty of aloe potion. Man, because there's different aloe plants, it makes it a little difficult sometimes to see all the greenery around. Like 3, maybe 4 different types of aloe that I've seen so far in the game. One that's got the red on top of it, another one that is smaller without the red on it, and then the third one that looks just like this. Right there. You know, it's like a big aloe bush. I go up here, we're gonna get attacked by a freaking salamander. And a spider. more, but it doesn't. Okay. I'm missing this stuff. That should give us plenty. Okay, let's make a whole crap ton. Valor potion. 139. Love it. Love it. Okay, bugs. Oh, I don't have any room? Oh, shoot. say we got too much stuff. Maybe we should put all the head stuff. Case above. Shields in here. That in there. Berries going here. Seeds. somewhere. I should make a shelf, put some of the dishes on the shelf. There we go. Shelf. Where did I find that? shaped wood. We definitely got to get a fire cauldron thrall because this thing is slow as molasses. Let's actually do the preserver first. So the only thing we're really waiting for is black eyes. Did I get the shelves? What did I do with the shelves? Oh, that would be why I didn't see him. I'm like, what the hell? Let's grab all the other dishes.
Hello?
Hey, Grumble, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. How are you, HB?
Oh, I've had better days.
What's going on with you?
I broke a bone in my foot at work.
Well, that sounds like fun. How'd you do that?
I was doing my job. I was doing my job and was grabbing some dispatching mail, and I was pulling the equipment around a corner, and I slipped on something on the floor. It was either grease or a piece of paper or something. But I was too darn busy to look to see what it was, and it hurt. But then I just kept working, and eventually it didn't get any better. It just stayed there all night, which kind of put me in a bad mood because I don't think I would have hurt myself if my supervisor would have listened to me. There was a bunch of stuff that happened that day, but in a short period of time, basically we have king stations that process all the mail, and we have six king stations, and it just so happened that when I went to send 6 people up to go key, the other 6 people that came down went to lunch. So I had nobody on the floor. It was just me and a PSE. And we had 2 major dispatches to get out. They're actually our 2 largest dispatches. And I told my supervisor, I said, hey, do you mind if I call all the PSEs from both IPPs to come over and help with the dispatch? Because I said, it's just me and one other person. And she said, yeah, go ahead. So I got on the intercom and I said, I need all PSEs from both designated IPP and outgoing IPP to go to Sorter 4 to help with the dispatch. And I hung up. Nobody showed up. So the first place I went was outgoing IPP, and my other lead clerk, which is below me, because I'm the senior lead clerk, was there, and a bunch of PSEs were there. And I said, hey, didn't you guys hear my page? I need you guys over on Sorter 4. And my lead clerk spoke up, and he goes, you can't have them. I said, excuse me? He goes, you can't have them. I said, if I page over the intercom that I need them, then I need them. So I need all of you guys to go over there and take care, help me with the dispatch. He says, you can't have them. I said, what do you mean I can't have them? He says, well, I contacted our MDO, which is my boss's boss, and he said I could keep them. And so that pissed me off that he went over not only my head, but over my supervisor's head. So I went to my supervisor and let her know what he had done. And she goes, well, you know what, how much longer do you think those people that are coming back from lunch? And I said, not for like anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. I was like, this stuff got to go out now. And she goes, well, you know what, just wait until they get back. And I was like, okay, so for the next 20 minutes, you want me to do the dispatch by myself with this one other person? And she goes, oh, you're all right. Oh, that pissed me off. I was like, you want me to do all this dispatch by myself with one other person? I was like, oh, so that pissed me off. On top of that, as soon as those people came back from lunch, me and this other person actually got, I'd say 80% of both dispatches done ourselves. We did the majority of both dispatches ourselves. So when these guys, 6 people came back from lunch, they chipped in, got the rest of it. And I was upset, but I kind of let it go. Well, then one of my senior employees was dispatching another dispatch at 11:40, and it doesn't go out until 12:30. So it's 50 minutes away. And I looked at this lady and I said, "Hey, that doesn't go out until 12:30." And she says, "Well, I'm going to do what I want to do." And I went, "Okay, as your lead clerk, I'm informing you, I do not want you to dispatch this right now because it doesn't go out until 12:30. I said, we need to get as much mail in that equipment before we dispatch it." And she goes, "Well, I'm going to do what I want to do." Okay. So I went back to my supervisor, told my supervisor, I said, "Hey, such and such is dispatching Midmo slides. Right now, it's 11:40. They're not supposed to be dispatched until 12:30. I told her not, to stop doing that, and she's not listening to me. As soon as I said that, one of our tuggers that picks up the equipment for dispatch, he came by, went past me and had Midmo equipment on it. And I stopped him. And I said, "Look, she's dispatching the stuff. It's not supposed to go out for, 40 more minutes, 40, 50 more minutes." And she looked at the tugger and she goes, "Go ahead and take it." I was like, "Are you flipping kidding me?" I was so pissed off because I take my job very, very seriously. I go to work, I hate my job, but when I go to work every day, what keeps me going is the fact that I look at it as, if I don't take care of the customer, I'm not getting paid. We take care of the customer, we get paid. And, another way I look at it is, we get a lot of elderly people that have their medications shipped through the Postal Service. And there are some medications that are very life-threatening for these people. If they don't get their medication, they will die. So I feel it's extremely important to make sure they get their medication on time. And then another one that I put in my head that's kind of a funny thing. When I was a kid, they had the G.I. Joe and the Star Wars fan club. And you paid so much per month, and you got a special magazine that you can't buy in any store. You could show it off to your friends and go, "Ha ha ha, you can't get this unless you're part of the club." And then every once in a great while, they would come up with a new action figure that they don't sell in the stores, but because you're a member of the club, they sent you one in the mail. And nowadays, any type of shipping that you get has tracking on it. So now little kids are saying, "Daddy, where's my G.I. Joe? Where's my Star Wars?" So it's important to me for a small child that is waiting for a gift that they've paid for and they're excited about, I feel it's my job. Get little Timmy his damn G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. You know? That's important to me. And I mean, these are the things I think of every day to give meaning for me to work at a place that's so shitty. I mean, I've been working since I was 14 years old, and it's the worst job I've ever had. It's not because of the pay is good. It's not because of the job being hard, because the job's really easy. It's all the garbage and BS that you got to deal with on a daily basis. You have supervisors who, you know, tell you to do your job, but they don't even do theirs. They write you up for being on your cell phone, or having food on the floor, or open pop containers, like, you know, cans and stuff, but yet they do it themselves. They're on their cell phones. They're eating pop, you know, drinking pop from a can on the floor, and they're eating food on the floor. And it's like, you know, how do you expect us to respect you if you don't even follow the rules yourselves? So, getting back to my story, with me having to pretty much, you know, with me not having my supervisor back me up when my other lead clerk kind of overruled me and telling me, oh, well, just let it go, go do it yourself. And then the fact that I had a senior employee dispatch mail early, and I told her not to, and my supervisor didn't back me up, she let it happen. Both things just royally pissed me off, but on top of it, my leg is still killing me from when I, slipped and twisted my ankle. So I said, you know what, screw this. You guys can run this damn place yourself. I'm going home. So I left at midnight, and I wasn't supposed to leave until 3. So I went home. And
so when did you find out your foot was broke?
found out Sunday. Because this happened on Wednesday. Wednesday night. Thursday I was supposed to go to work, and my ankle hurt too much. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stand for 8 hours. So I called off. I had Friday off, and it got worse. Saturday I woke up and I couldn't even walk on it. It hurt so bad I couldn't even walk on it. And it felt like a bolt of lightning going up my foot. When I woke up Sunday, it was still feeling the same way, and I was like, honey, I can't. I was telling my wife, I said, honey, I can't go to work. I said, I can't even walk. And she goes, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to have to talk to my boss and tell her that, the last time I was there, I hurt my ankle. And so that's what I did. I told my boss, and she goes, why didn't you tell me sooner? And I said, well, the reason being is because, I was so busy trying to get the dispatch that me and this other PSC were doing by ourselves that I was just trying to walk it off. And I said, by the end of the night, with you pissing me off twice and my leg killing me, I said, screw this, I'm going home. And she goes, so what do you want to do about it? And I said, well, I want to go to the hospital. She goes, okay, well, I'll get the paperwork for you. And I had to write a statement to her. And I ended up going to the hospital Sunday night. My wife and Zoe went with me. And I told my wife, I said, you know, I'm looking at my foot, and I'm like, I don't see any bruising or anything. I said, I'm thinking it's just going to be, you know, I strained it or got tendonitis or something like that. And we get to the hospital, and the doctor goes, okay. He puts his hand on my toes, and he says, I want you to push as hard, you know, push as much as you can down on your toes against my hand. And I said, okay. So I pushed down, and oh my God, oh, the pain jumped. It hit me so hard, my eyes got water. I thought I was gonna die. It hurt so bad in my foot. And he goes, yeah, it sounds like you got tendonitis. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. And he goes, well, just to be sure, let's do some x-rays and check it out. So they did an x-ray, and the neat thing is they do the x-rays in your emergency room now. They don't take you, you know, to another location. They did it right there in the room. And he came back, you know, a while later after they developed the film, and he says, well, he says, you got tendonitis, but he goes, that's not what's causing all your pain. And I said, what's that? He goes, you have 2 bone spurs in your foot. And he said one of the bone spurs actually fractured, because he said a bone spur is actually a weak spot, forms a weak spot on the bone. And he said it fractured right where the one bone spur is, and now that bone is literally poking at your muscles and tendons in your foot. And I was like, great. And he said, normally if you have a bone spur, they can do different stuff without having to do surgery, but because yours is fractured, you're gonna need to see an orthopedic surgeon, and he's gonna have to correct that. And I was like, oh shit. That's scary. Oh, you look pretty. You want to show everybody your costume? Hey everybody, Zoe's going to show you her Renaissance Festival costume. Yeah, she's going to be a lost boy, in one of the lost boys, even though she's a girl. The lost children. Yeah, that's cute. So yeah, so she's in a costume. They're going to do a 4th of July parade tomorrow. So she's
Looks good.
Yeah, actually, the funny thing is, one of the guys that's there, he goes and looks for stuff all the time. He found a freaking boat. A free boat. Yeah, it's a 19-foot boat, and somebody gave it to him. Now, granted, they stripped the inside of the boat. You know, it has no motor, it does it have a steering wheel? Doesn't have a steering wheel.
Heck, if it's an aluminum boat, that's money just for scrap.
Was it a metal boat or was it white? It's a white boat, so it's like a regular boat. Oh my gosh. Those socks are cool. So, but no, what they ended up doing was they're converting the boat to look like a Lost Boys or Lost Children boat.
Like we stole it from Captain Hook.
Yeah, they're going to make it look like they stole the boat from Captain Hook. And Captain Hook's going to be like chasing after them from behind. So the boat's on a trailer. Yeah, the boat's on a trailer, and Captain Hook's going to be like he's running after them, trying to get his. Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going to have fun tomorrow. But Yeah, but I mean, since I broke that bone in my foot, I'm not getting around very well in the house. He told me, he says, the best way for you to walk, for what, you know, the damage that you did to your foot, he said, walk like you're a penguin. He goes, do not flex your where your leg and your foot meet. He said, do not flex that. He goes, because it will hurt you. He said, walk.
They didn't give you a boot or any kind of thing to wear in the meantime?
No, they gave me crutches.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I'm walking around the house with crutches, but to be honest, I don't walk much because if I step on anything, like if like a cord, you know, if somebody's got a cord, you know, for the fans and stuff, if I step on the cord, I mean, it's like a lightning bolt going right up my leg. The floor has to be completely flat and clear of anything. Or like if somebody walks in the house and a pebble, you know, fell off their shoe. If I step on that pebble, oh my God. it hurts. It's
Yeah.
Oh. So, but yeah, I went to the hospital and they tell me that I need to go see a orthopedic surgeon. I tell my supervisor tells the lady from Healthcare Resources, you know, she's the one who makes the claim and sends it to Workman's Comp. And she goes, well, you're going to have to go to Concentra. I said, why? Well, you need to have them evaluate you. I just went to the hospital, and the hospital took x-rays and everything. Why do I need to go to them to get evaluated when the hospital already did it? And she says, well, that's what we need you to do. So I called my mom because she is the head nurse, and she handles Workman's Comp and stuff like that all the time. And I told my mom about it, and she goes, oh, honey, that's normal. So even though you went to the hospital and they, you know, said you got a broken bone in your foot, you still have to go to Concentra. Everybody's got to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. As long as it's a normal thing. She goes, yeah, it's normal.
So do you know how long you're going to be out of work?
Well, the doctor already gave me a week off. One of my coworkers actually told me that the whole time that she was off, they didn't pay her. It wasn't until after everything was done and over with that they finally paid her back. And I'm like,
That sounds typical of the Postal Service.
yeah, but I'm like, I got bills to pay. So if I don't get a paycheck, I'm going to try to file for unemployment or file for temporary disability.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as soon as I go to Concentra, and Concentra says yes, you got the go ahead to go see an orthopedic surgeon. Now I'm going to have to find an orthopedic surgeon that deals with diabetic medicine. Because the scary part is any kind of surgery whatsoever that they do on your feet can lead to getting gangrene, and the only way to fix gangrene is to amputate. And that right now is scaring the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really scared about that. My great grandfather was a very, very proud man. His last name was Bolin, and he owned a moving and storage company called Bolin Storage, and it was a very predominant moving and storage company, and he made a name for himself in our hometown. And when he got too old to run it, he said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sell it. He sold it for quite a bit of money. So he was always a very proud man. And he ended up having diabetes, and he like stubbed his toe or whatever, and it got infected. And next thing you know, he had gangrene. And they said, we have to amputate your leg. They amputated it right below his kneecap. And when he woke up from surgery, I mean, he was like, I don't want anybody to talk to me. I want you to leave the room. I don't want you here. I mean, he just totally pushed everybody away. And, you know, his wife and my grandmother, both, you know, they stayed anyway, even though he was trying to push them away. But he ended up dying in the hospital. And
Jeez.
yeah, and the reason he died in the hospital, the doctor said it doesn't make any sense because the operation was a success. He had no internal bleeding or whatever, and so my great grandmother and my grandmother said, well, how did he die then? And he gave up his will to live. And I didn't know that was possible, but yeah, he died because he didn't want to live. And I'd never heard of that before. But yeah, he was such a proud man that he did not feel like a man anymore because he couldn't stand on his own 2 feet with his own 2 legs, and so he gave up his will to live. And they said he died from natural causes in the hospital.
Well, that's a depressing way to go, man.
Oh yeah. So I mean that, you know, that up till he had the surgery, everything was fine. You know, everybody thought he had accepted it and everything. And I guess when he woke up and, you know, he had all the pain from not having a leg and then kind of sitting there in bed all day long thinking about it, he just gave up.
Yeah.
So they couldn't explain why he died except for he gave up his will to live. So yeah, it's real depressing. And I loved my great grandfather. He was a really cool guy. They lived in a what do they call them? Like a assisted living elderly apartment complex. And every time we came to his apartment, he would always feed us frozen donuts. He had donuts that he had in the freezer, and he would take them out and pop them in the microwave and heat them up for us. And I mean, every single time it was like, are you stockpiling these donuts? Because they're like always here. You know, every single time we came to the house, he had donuts in the freezer. So
Probably was. They probably like gave them away for free.
Oh yeah.
In the morning or something.
But yeah, I just thought it was so funny that, you know, every single time we showed up, we had donuts. So, but,
I've been craving donuts a lot lately, and I never even really liked them before that much. You know, I had my my gallbladder out. Remember?
Yeah, I
like
remember you telling me that.
right after the last time I think that I communicated with you, like a couple days later, I actually ended up back in the hospital. I had a post-operative infection.
Oh no!
And got readmitted to the hospital for like another 2 days, and they had to reopen up one of my like one of my incision sites from the surgery, and I had a really nasty infection, and they had to like pump me full of all kinds of antibiotics, and it was a lot of fun. I actually still have a wound where I have to change the bandage every day and stuff. It's almost healed. A couple more,
I'm sorry.
maybe
you
like
had to
another
go through
week. It was not fun, man. Staying in the hospital for days at a time
that. Oh God.
is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you remember a couple summers ago when I had that ketoacidosis and almost died. They had me in the ICU for 3 days, and I was awake the entire time.
Oh yeah, they don't let you sleep, man.
Well, no, they actually put medicine in my IV to keep me awake because they said my blood sugar. I guess the hospital can only test the blood sugar up to 700, and they said mine went off the scale. And normal blood sugar is between 70 to 150, and mine was way past 700.
Wow.
They told me because my blood sugar was so high, if I would have gone to sleep, I more likely would have gone into a coma and died. So that's why they kept me awake.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's like torture, though, man, to be
Oh,
kept awake
God.
like that.
Just imagine, you know, just imagine staying awake and how much your body aches from forcing it to stay awake, and times like 20. I mean,
Yeah, that's.
I was like nauseous. My body just hurt so bad because I just wanted to sleep. My eyes were on fire. It was a feeling I do not want to experience again. I really, really do not. Ever since I've gotten out of the hospital, I've actually been on track with my medication, testing my blood 4 times a day, every single day. I mean, I've been on it.
Yeah, I would
my
be
wife,
too.
I told my wife, I said, I do not want to go through that again. And so, I mean, she's been pretty proud of me, and and my wife and daughters actually, become interested in watching it, because if I ever do have an episode where I'm like delirious and can't really do it myself, then they'll do it. So
Yeah, my wife has been really great too. She's been helping with all of it, and I don't know if I would have been able to handle it on my own.
That's my jumped on your mom. Oh man, I really, honest to God, hate where we live. We have woods behind our house, and because we have woods, we get brown recluse spiders all the time in our house. And those of you that do not know what brown recluse spiders are, they are very, very venomous spiders, where the type of venom that they have, when they bite you and they squirt their venom in you, it literally liquefies your flesh. So it's like a dissolving venom. And what they do to their prey is they bite them, inject the venom in them, and then basically watch for their the fly or whatever, just liquefy, and then they suck you up like a straw. Well, you do it on a human, that venom just like spreads everywhere. And I got a coworker that got bit by a brown recluse under her arm, right by her armpit, and she had a hole about this big, and it was black. All
Nasty.
that flesh just turned black, and they literally had to cut all that flesh off because I mean it was dead, and she was out of work for a long time. She's now back to work, and I feel so bad for her because she's a real nice lady. And she's a young lady too. I mean, she's probably got to be in her late 20s, early 30s, and having to go through something like that, I felt so bad for her. We better check on these over here. But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much what's going on right now in my life. Is
Well, at least you got some time off work out of the bit.
yeah. I mean, hell, everybody at work knows what I'm going to be doing the whole damn time. So,
Right.
I mean, pretty much the same thing that they do to me when they tried to fire me. I'll just play video games until I'm able to go back to work. And,
Right.
The funny thing is because I stream even more, whenever I'm not working, it actually helps out the show. So I guess it's a win-win. But what's going to be coming up here soon? I'd much rather be working than having to face what's going to happen.
What's that?
Well, with me having foot surgery.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm sure it'll go smooth. It's not that.
oh,
I mean, I know there's always a risk, but
yeah.
I feel like after what I just went through, I would much rather have some foot surgery than have an organ removed. It's not fun.
Definitely. But yeah, you're really gonna have to take care of yourself because my ex actually had her when she had her last kid, she gained so much weight that she got prenatal diabetes. So when she had her baby, the doctor told her, well, most likely once you have the baby, you'll go back to normal. Well, she did. She had diabetes. So he told her, he says, we can perform what's called a gastric bypass, which basically gives you, they cut a third of your stomach off. And then
Oh yeah, I had family that had that done to them.
Oh, okay. So, so they got two stomachs when it's all done. Well, it was such a shock to her body, she lost her gallbladder. Her gallbladder failed her. So they had to remove it. Well, now that the gallbladder's been removed, her body's now anemic. So because she's anemic, she's got to have blood transfusions every once in a while. And I mean,
she must have something else going on, man.
Oh, yeah,
because
she's got all kinds of things wrong with her now. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you saw my Facebook or my Twitter about my oldest daughter getting married.
no, I don't think I caught that one.
Yeah, actually, let me show you pictures while I got you guys here. I clean up pretty well. Where is it? Open image and a new. There's me and my wife. So we clean up pretty well.
I'm on a delay. Oh, here we go. There you are. Oh yeah, pretty snazzy.
Yeah.
I like the
and
blue.
I noticed my freaking eyes were closed. So they took my picture when I blinked.
Sure enough.
And then this is my oldest daughter and Zoe, my youngest daughter.
Oh,
And,
okay.
uh,
Nice dress.
oh yeah, yeah. We did a father-daughter dance, and I cried. I cried so bad. Well, the funny thing is I looked at her, and I was just like, "You're so beautiful," and I was very emotional and everything. But I was trying everything in me, every ounce of power that I had. Don't cry.
Huh, huh.
All I was dancing with my daughter, and all I said to her was, "You look very beautiful today. I'm glad for how happy you are." And she just burst into tears right in front of me. And man, that hit me like a freight train. And the tears started coming out, and I'm bawling like a baby. I was like, "Ah, shit!" And this is my new son-in-law.
Oh, okay.
And then this last picture here, uh, you see Zoe here in the front, and my youngest. So she's my youngest daughter. In the back is my youngest son Corbin. Every single one of these other children, those are my grandchildren. Uh, this one here is, or this one here and this one here are my new grandchildren. And the funny thing is, we we were at the rehearsal the day. Well, this was the rehearsal night. But earlier in the day, I was helping my daughter, decorate the tables and stuff, and they kind of put me in charge of, you know, putting the centerpieces, and she had like these big bushels of fake flowers, and she was having me cut them and put them in the centerpieces. Because I'm such a perfectionist, she knew that if I did it, all the centerpieces would look identical. So, so here I am cutting all these flowers and stuff, and this little guy comes up to me. Now, here's the thing. I've seen plenty of pictures of him and her on Facebook, but because they live in Ohio and I live in Kansas, I've never seen him in person. Well, while I'm doing these arrangements, this little guy comes up to me and says, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, sure, you can help me, no problem." And so he's helping me clip these. And one of the flowers that my oldest daughter got were these sunflowers, and it had a really big stem on it, and it had a metal rod, like a metal rod down the center of it, so you can bend it and shape it and all that. But we had some wire cutters and was cutting them. Now, for me, cutting it was no big deal. This little guy, he's like squeezing with all his might. And I'm like, "Hey, let me help you, let me help you." He goes, "No, I got it. And he's squeezing. Ugh. Well, I said, "Let me help you." So we did it together, and we snapped them. And I went, "Wow, you did good." And so I was having a great old time with him. And while we're doing all this stuff, he looks at me and he goes, "So why didn't you?" He goes, "Why didn't you get me a gift?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, I heard that you gave your grandchildren gifts." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I just kind of played it off, and I was like, "Well, I didn't know you was going to be here today." And
Hmm.
I said, but why do you ask? And he goes, well, because when my dad marries Alexi, you're going to be my grandpa. Man, it was like a slap in the face. I was like, oh, I'm such a shit. I got gifts for her, and for him, but I did not get gifts for them, and I felt so horrible. I was like,
should have gave him a 20.
I felt so bad. I was like, oh man, I am now their new grandfather, and I feel like a shit. So I told my wife, and I said, we're going to Walmart tonight. So I ended up getting. I'm like, okay, he's 5 years old. I was like, what would a 5-year-old want? And we saw all this stuff, and I saw when I was a kid, they had these. They call it a snake, but it's actually like triangles that overlap each other, and you twist.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
I had one of them.
Yeah, you twist and turn them, and you can make different things out of them. And I always wanted one. I never had one. I always wanted one. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy one for him. Well, for her, that movie that came out called Ugly. Thank you, dear. I already knew the word. Ugly Dolls. Where they are actually ugly looking dolls, but they're so ugly they're cute. And
Yeah, I seen the preview.
yeah, so I got her an ugly doll, and it's a plush kind of like a pillow kind of thing. It had bunny ears on it. It was lime green, and it had one eye was a button, and the other eye was like a crisscross. And so I got that for her. And the funny thing is I waited until after my daughter and her fiance got married, and I walked up to this guy and I said, you know what? You didn't get a gift yesterday because you weren't my grandson at the time. But I said, now you are my grandson. And I said, here's your gift. And I gave it to him, and his eyes got huge. And he was like,
That's awesome.
And so he played with that thing the whole time. I gave her ugly doll, and she like squeezed the hell out of it. And the funny thing is, and I'll even let me see. I wrote a big message on Facebook, and I put on there, I said, on Saturday, June 22nd, 2019, I got to see my oldest daughter get married to Michael Spangler. The event was beautiful, but not nearly as beautiful as my daughter. I tried my very best not to cry, but seeing how beautiful and happy my daughter was, the tears flowed. From everything that I have learned about her fiance, is that he is loved by his coworkers, his friends, and his family. Now he is loved by my daughter, and he loves her just as much. I was sad to leave after the wedding to make the 13-hour trip back to Kansas. Her new husband, or my daughter and her new husband, were having an after party, or after wedding party at their home, and I could tell that my daughter really wanted me to come spend more time with her husband, and my 2 new grandchildren. I said, but unfortunately, I could not, even though I really wanted to. The reason is I will be soon having a series of surgeries to improve my quality of life. So this broken foot actually interferes with the surgeries I was planning on having soon. So I was wanting to get the tongue surgery and a muscle removed by my esophagus because I have sleep apnea, and I was going to get that done first.
I remember you talking about that. That sounds like some real torture.
yeah, it's going to be really bad. So so now I got to put these surgeries on hold because I got this surgery on my foot that's going to happen here soon. So it's, and the funny thing is oh, stop healing. Oh shoot, I'm dying. I'm dying. Why am I dying? Oh, I need food. Die on me. You gonna live? Come on, live. Oh, you're thirsty. Oh, thirsty. Oh, we can take care of that. Yeah, I need to actually add the mod that says when you pause the game, it stops the game. Because I paused quite a bit to talk to you guys, and I don't want to like starve or die of thirst. So after I made this real heartwarming note on here on my Facebook, I even ended it by saying, "Michael, welcome to the family, son." The funny thing is, he sends me a message back, and he goes, "Thank you so much. Thank you for such a beautiful post. I will always try to do my absolute best for your daughter and the kids." He said his kids haven't stopped talking about you ever since the wedding. When I was dropping his daughter off yesterday, she got mad at me for asking her to leave her toy in the car. She said, "No, Dad, my papa got it for me." And I was like, "Aww."
It's cool.
Oh, here's that picture of my daughter and I doing the father-daughter dance. And if you look close enough, I'm just like I'm bawling. My face is all swelled up and everything. I'm crying. So she was just so beautiful, and I was just so happy for her. So
Yeah, that's a big day. I
yeah.
got quite a few years before I have
Yeah.
that day.
So yeah, so so we had a lot of fun, and I was really sad to leave. I told my wife, I said, I really would like to move back to Ohio, but the only thing that would be good about Ohio is being with my kids and my grandkids. Everything else about Ohio, I'm not really into anymore. Even though it's my hometown and everything, Kansas City has so much to offer. I mean, the jobs are way much better. The wages are much better. The gas is better. There's so much culture in this town. They have a really, really good um, arts organization that does so many different things for the community. We have several museums and landmarks all around the city. It's just a very
Now, do you live like right in the city, or like in the suburbs outside the city, or what?
no. I live right in the city.
Oh, okay.
But the funny thing is the area that I live in. I have so many trees around me. It feels like I'm in the country, but I go a couple blocks down the road and I'm in city. So it's really weird, and the woods are not that big where we live. And what's crazy is there's so much wildlife in those woods. We have deer, we have coyotes, we have eagles, we have, I've seen great horned owls. For the longest time, I didn't see rabbits. And there's a part of the woods that actually have rabbits. Because, I mean, we lived here for 10 years, and I never saw one rabbit in my backyard. But on the other side of the woods, I see rabbits every time I come home from work. Because part of the woods is right on an intersection. And I turn that intersection, and my headlights, go across, the corner, and I see bunny rabbits eating food right there on the corner. And I'm like, wow, we got bunny rabbits. So, 10 years, two blocks away, never seen a rabbit ever in my backyard. And 2 blocks away, there's a whole bunch of rabbits right there. So it's kind of crazy. And the funny thing is the first time I noticed that we had deer is actually, we lived here and I never saw a deer. And when we bought our old house and we moved to that house, we were using our old house as a rental property. And we had to have the one of the inspectors check out the house to approve us to get a renter's license. So we showed up at the house, and my daughter and I were waiting in the car, and she was still in a car seat. And the funny thing is I backed into the driveway, and she goes, "Oh, Daddy, deer." And I went, "Deer, I said, honey, there's no deer over here." And all of a sudden, this big, massive deer just went right past my driver's side door, and I jumped. It scared me. I was like, "We got deer? I never knew we had deer." But yeah, it was a big old deer, and it ran across the road. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that." Next thing you know, there was a second deer that came trailing behind the other one. And I went, "Holy crap, I didn't know we had deer." We lived there for 10 years, I never saw a deer once. But then, every once in a while we talk to the neighbors and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, well, we got coyotes and all kinds of stuff here." I was like, "Are you for real?" And they showed me pictures of their front yard, and there was a coyote. We even got foxes. We got foxes. We actually have a white fox. I saw it up by the intersection. Oh, hell no, those things are mean as hell. I had a friend of mine that had a fox in a cage, and that thing wanted to get through those bars to eat him alive. Even though they're little, they are very, very vicious little boogers. Oh yeah, I mean, if you have them as a baby and you handle them all the time and you tame them, yeah, that's a different story. But if you have wild ones, you cannot tame a wild one. It will eat you alive. I mean, especially if you keep it in a cage all the time and you don't work with it all the time. Even if you bought it and it was tamed, if you keep it in a cage all the time, over time that thing's going to get its wild instincts back. You have to work with it constantly to keep it tamed. Let's see here. Hello, Conan son. What's up? Hi dear. I am here for some beaches. I need some sun. Conan, you are funny. I like you, man. Welcome, welcome. I'm not saying that word out loud. I'm actually using a new app that Streamlabs OBS has on there. It's called Mob Crush, and I'm actually broadcasting not only on Twitch, but YouTube and Mixer. You thought I was gonna
That's pretty
delete it?
cool.
Yeah, but it's shit. I gotta be honest with you. I have a lot of people from Mixer. Actually, Loke Odin's son is actually talking from YouTube. But I had a guy earlier that was talking from Mixer. But he said the Mixer broadcast is really crappy. So, yeah, this is not a good app.
I've never even watched Mixer, and I didn't think that. I thought YouTube gaming, like live streaming, I thought that they quit or whatever. Like, I didn't even know it was still a thing.
Yeah, he's watching me on YouTube. But I'm cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You can tell my ex-wife that. Maybe she'll believe you. But no, my ex-wife, or not ex-wife, my ex-girlfriend, my daughter that got married, her mother was there. And the funny thing is I saw pictures of my ex on my daughter's Facebook, and she looks horrible. And before we went to Ohio to my daughter's wedding, I asked my daughter, I said, hey,
Yeah, in a minute.
I told my my daughter, I said, is your mom okay? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, she looks like she's dying. And she goes, what do you mean? I was like, she looks horrible. I was like, her teeth are like yellow and brown now, and her skin looks like blotchy and stuff like that, and she's like her hair's receding really bad, and I was like, she just doesn't look good. And she goes, yeah, mom's going through a lot of health problems and stuff, and she goes, why her skin looks bad, and her teeth look bad, and her hair is receding is she has some type of deficiency. And I was like, she looks horrible. And sounds like drugs. No, I bet she wishes it was drugs. It's probably alcohol. I wouldn't doubt it. But the funny thing was, my oldest daughter and I lost a lot of time with each other, her growing up, because my ex was playing games all the time with our relationship, my daughter and I's relationship. There were times I would show up to pick up my daughter, and she wouldn't be there. And I would call and call and call and call, and she wouldn't pick up her cell phone. There were other times where I went to pick her up, and she's like, oh, we're out of town. What do you mean you're out of town? This is my weekend. This is my visitation. She needs to be here now. Well, she's not. And I mean, she did this all the time. And the thing is I was by myself, and I really didn't have anybody to help me. And I couldn't, I'm paying, back then I was paying $350 a month for child support, which that's not a lot today. compared to what it was a long time ago. 20 years ago, that was a shit ton of money. And the reason being was I used to be a truck driver and I was making like $1,000 a week. Well, when I got out of truck driving and I made a whole hell of a lot less, child support does not reduce your child support unless you go to court to have it reduced. And so here I'm paying child support $350 every